In this video, I will be covering the risks involved with private investigators getting caught while conducting surveillance, along with how they can handle these situations and what private investigators can do to ensure they are conducting surveillance within legal boundaries. Really quick, if you want to see more videos on topics like this, go down and hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hype it if you think other people will enjoy watching it too. First things first here, if you are doing surveillance, it is imperative that you have been properly trained on how to conduct surveillance. It is so common these days for large national and local PI firms to hire just about anyone, just about any warm body off the street to conduct surveillance for them, especially when it comes to workers' compensation and personal injury type of cases. I see these job postings so many times, usually on some online site like Craigslist, where the ad says something to the effect of private investigators needed to conduct insurance fraud surveillance. No experience required. Will train qualified applicants. Be your own boss. Apply today. This all sounds so wonderful on paper. You will be trained. You get to be your own boss. You get to work in an exciting niche market. What could go wrong? Well, first off, the training could go wrong. It could go terribly wrong, and in many cases, it is simply non-existent. Now, don't get me wrong, this can work if you get the right training. After all, this is exactly how I got started in the PI business, but I had some major hurdles to overcome that we need to discuss. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. You see, I answered one of those Craigslist ads, and after I talked with the company on the phone, they offered me an in-person interview. When I went to the interview, I learned that the owner of the company, as well as his primary surveillance manager, had little real-world experience conducting surveillance as a private investigator. Now, they had a good deal of law enforcement experience, and some of this involved surveillance, but there is a huge difference between cop surveillance and PI surveillance, to be sure. They were still using these huge old DAT tape video recording cameras. They were also using vehicles with no window tinting whatsoever, and they were parking literally right across the street from the subject's residence on most cases. Now, before I went to that interview, I did a little digging myself online, and I found that there was very little information out there about how PIs do surveillance. This was way back in 2008, so the internet was a different place, to be sure. But I did find a guy's MySpace account where he had 9 or 10 10-minute videos on how to do insurance-related surveillance. Each of these 10-minute segments covered a single topic, like where to park, how to shoot video, what equipment to use, how to follow the subject, and more. And after watching all of these videos about 3 or 4 times, I was armed with more information than the 2 guys running this company when it comes to how to successfully conduct surveillance as a private investigator. I was also able to impress them enough with my knowledge that they hired me on the spot as a subcontract surveillance investigator, and the rest is what we call history. And that is also why I started the PI Guide channel, to help pay it forward, to help other people learn how to become private investigators and be successful. So let's now discuss what happens if a PI gets caught during surveillance. Generally speaking, the person who made the PI or became aware of his presence will do one of 4 things. First, they may confront the PI right then and there. Now, this is not the most common reaction, but it does happen from time to time. When and if this happens, when you are confronted, you have to make some quick decisions on how to react. The key here is to ensure you do not react. That is right. No knee-jerk reaction will help the situation. You need to have a plan in place for handling these situations long before you ever go out on surveillance. For me, I always have a guise, a ruse, a reason to say why I am there, and my primary guise is the old process server guise. I just tell the subject, "I'm sorry to have bothered you. I am a process server. I have some papers here." Then I tap on some papers in the passenger seat, and I say, "I'm just waiting for a guy down the street." That usually does the trick, and then they leave me alone. But they may still keep an eye on me, so I need to be aware of that too. This also usually only works once or twice on a case, so keep that in mind if you need to work the case on several occasions. I have also flat out told people, well, I'm a private investigator and I'm working a case involving someone down the road. The few times I have done this, I make sure I never divulge who I am surveilling or working for or the nature of the investigation. Now, the way to not respond is to take a defensive posture. If you say something like this, "It's none of your business. I have a right to be parked here on a public road," I can almost guarantee you that the next person you speak to will be a police officer. And you might think, yeah, so what? I will tell them the same thing. But it usually will not be a single cop rolling up on you and talking nice to you. It will usually be several cops who are now working a suspicious person call. And chances are the person who called in told them you were being aggressive, which will automatically put them on a heightened sense of caution when they do approach you. And just to make it more fun, this will all be done right there where the subject of your investigation will see you, and chances are the RP, the reporting person, will also have notified all of the neighbors, including your subject, through their neighborhood watch program. Now, not only are you burned by one neighbor, you are burned by your subject and all of the neighbors. So now you can never go back and work that neighborhood again. And believe you me, this will hurt over time if it happens enough times, as a huge part of the insurance fraud investigations world is not only a what have you done for me lately world, but it is also a repeat business world, meaning most cases come back many times. And if you get burned enough times, well, you won't be getting that or any other cases assigned to you. Another great guise is to say that you are an insurance adjuster or some other logical profession and you just stop to fill out some paperwork. Then after they leave, you act as if you are finishing up some paperwork, then you exit the neighborhood. This is definitely a one-time use guise, so make use of it sparingly and wisely. The most common way people will react when they see you, though, is not to confront you. They will just simply call the police and report a suspicious person. The biggest ramification here is that when the police roll up on you, it will be a complete surprise. The easiest thing to do is to avoid having any police contact. But how can you avoid having police contact in the first place? I almost always call myself into dispatch when I arrive shortly before I arrive on scene. I just let them know that I am doing surveillance in the general area where I am doing surveillance, when I will be done with the surveillance, my vehicle license plate, and the description, and my cell phone should they need to reach out to me. Then, in most cases, if you have been burned by anyone, they will call you when someone calls in a suspicious person and let you know. Now, most times they will also respond in person, and this may just be a casual drive-by with a wave, or they may stop and talk to you briefly. What I have found, though, usually if the cops want to talk to me, they will call me and ask me if I want to meet them at another location to help ensure the integrity of my investigation. Now, does it always work out that way? Nope. I have had cases where the police treated the entire incident as hostile. Now, they didn't pull me out of my car, take me into custody and all that jazz, but I have had a time or two where multiple cars responded and multiple officers approached me. In those instances, I just kept my cool, kept my hands visible, answered their questions, and all went fine after that. Now, I did also have to end those cases there because there was a good chance that my subject became aware of what was happening too. Other things you can do to help in these cases is to take proper measures to not get burned in the first place. Here are some things you can do to help yourself out. Have a nondescript, plain Jane surveillance vehicle with window tinting that falls within the law. Make sure you arrive early for surveillance, before sunrise if possible. Conduct surveillance from the rear seat, not the front, and use blackouts in your side windows so no one can see inside. I use black foam core cutouts that fit each window and a windshield sun cover in the front window. Do not use electronics like cell phones, laptops, and tablets while on surveillance. These will light up the interior of your vehicle like a Christmas tree, and these become major distractions that take your eyes off the subject and your surroundings. I also dress in dark clothing too, and I wear a dark colored ball cap to hide my shiny head and my white hair. I also conduct a pre-surveillance recon run a day or two prior to doing the surveillance, so I know exactly what the neighborhood looks like. Oh yeah, and I never drive past my subject's house more than once. I get in, identify a good place to park, and I set up stationary surveillance as quickly as possible. And then I make sure I am not breaking any laws like trespassing or impersonating someone that I'm not, or using GPS trackers. I know, a highly controversial subject, but I never use them. The consequences of getting burned, getting made, getting caught during surveillance are huge and oftentimes can be career-changing events. It can hurt your reputation in the industry. Trust me, people talk. PIs and insurance adjusters and the like all like to gossip, just like anyone else. It could cost you your PI license too if the police file charges against you for stalking, harassment, trespassing, or anything else. And the biggest and most common consequence is losing client trust. Yep, the PI business is a what have you done lately for me world, or what have you done to ruin my day lately world. One time getting burned can cause a lot of havoc for your client and cost them a lot in lost production and money defending your actions. And when this happens, they may not be your client too much longer. So how do you overcome the dangers of getting caught while on surveillance? Well, you can't guarantee it will never happen. In fact, I can guarantee you if you are doing surveillance, you will at some point get burned. It is just the nature of the business. But you can do a lot to ensure you are doing surveillance the right way by getting the right training. And I have an entire playlist right here on the PI Guide channel that is dedicated with hundreds of videos all about doing surveillance. And I will leave a link down below for that playlist so you can watch them all. Now, if you have found this video to be of help or interest, please consider hitting that thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and if you would like early access to videos every month and access to premium members-only videos, click the join button down below to learn how to become a PI Guide channel member.